how to secure paid sponsorship before your book launches. You're going to love this training because it's very simple to do. In fact, one client I'm thinking of off the top of my head was able to land $8,000 in sponsorships before his book launch. Now, I know another gentleman who's not a client that landed over $20,000 in sponsorships. So this is a really cool thing that you can do that many authors totally forget about, but it can bring you in dollars now. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, why would somebody sponsor an ad in a book? Doesn't make sense, does it? Or does it? Well, this is targeted third-party exposure. They get their message in front of the right audience. I mean, if you're writing a book for vegans in some way, shape, or form, there are many products that are specifically geared for vegans, whether it's clothing or food products. So there are many people and companies that would value being in front of a targeted audience. And they're going to also get pre-qualified leads, people that, they don't have to hard sell. These are vegans, using that example, and are already committed to the cause or to that lifestyle. People never throw a book away. This is long-term advertising. Think about it. How many business cards do you get on a regular basis that end up going in the trash? How many books do you receive that end up going in the trash? That's what I thought. No one throws a book away. I remember when I was in practice, when I first self-published in 2009, I wrote a book called Cracking the Cancer Code. And what I used to do is I used to give this book away at different events in the community. So way back, we would do spinal screenings and stress-free days and stuff like that. And so our company would go in, and sometimes we would pay to be at these events, but we would certainly bring in new patients just from the screenings or the stress-free days. But I would also give complimentary copies of my book to pretty much anyone that was there. And I probably had given away over 1,000 books in my local community at the time. That ended up producing new patients in my office because they found out that I was there local in the Lilburn area. So, a couple benefits to this, just mentioning the benefit from a practice perspective, but no one throws a book away. So from the advertiser's perspective, this is like forever advertising basically. This might sit on their shelf, might sit on the mother's coffee table, but it's going to be there for years and years, and their friends or family are going to pick it up. So again, long-term advertising, unlike most postcard drops or fly-by-night stuff or radio or TV, etc. It's an author endorsement. This is huge credibility to be in a paperback book and endorsed by a best-selling author. This company that advertises with you, they also get the prestige of being featured in a book. Listen, it's very prestigious if you write a book, your name and your photo are on the front or back cover, but it's also prestigious if other brands are mentioned in the book. That's just a great thing to do. And certainly me, if anyone mentioned me in a book, I would be, elated, basically. Very, very happy because I know it's just extra exposure I'm going to receive for my brand and products. Exclusivity. This is a big one too. Now, if you're in the vegan space, just as an example, you wrote a book for vegans, you can make an exclusivity clause where you're only accepting one product per, let's say it's one clothing product or one product in one food category. So you can make this very, very exclusive so they get access and you're not going to invite anyone else. The cost is very, very cheap if you compare it. I mean, if you circulate 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 books versus that of, let's say, a postcard drop or some old school form of advertising, I mean, the cost is really, really cheap per lead and per exposure. And you also have to think of it this way. Even if this person, if you sell 100 books, so let's say you offer the sponsorship to a company or brand, and you also offer or recommend that they buy 100 books, and they can either give those books away, you can give them books with their sponsorship, so you give them a complimentary 20, 50 books, or however you want to work it, whatever the numbers work out for you, but they can also sell these books if they choose, which can easily recoup their investment. So not only do they get advertising in your book, but they can recoup their investment if they want to sell those books. So it's a win-win scenario on both ends. Where do you find potential sponsors? Well, the phone book. Anyone that's advertising is obviously wanting to attract more clients, customers, or patients for their business or brand. So the phone book is one of those places. It's very quickly becoming outdated. Magazines, local or international or national. And this local or national applies to the following as well. Television, and actually going back to the magazines, those can be niche specific publications as well. So you really need to know what publications are in your industry that your book tailors to or the topic, because that's who you're going to approach, people that are advertising in those. Same thing with television. Maybe there are popular TV programs and shows around your industry. Or radio, maybe you hear stuff on the radio or sponsorships that could be very, very well fitted to advertise in your book. Keep your eyes and ears open. Facebook. There's no shortage of ads floating around in the newsfeed on Facebook. So you can see which of these might be best suited to contact to advertise in your book as well. Popular blogs. I gave you the example before about targeting niche-specific blogs where you can actually go and do a Google search for specific keywords. And when you do a Google search for those keywords, you'll pull back, let's say, the top 25 paleo blogs. You can look on those individual websites and see who is paying for sponsored advertising. Many times these blog owners will have their own sponsorship. So if a paleo diet or cookbook is willing to pay for advertising on their websites, they might be able to pay for advertising in your book as well. Here is the perfect script. It's very, very simple. So I'm just going to use this for a, let's say you're a doctor. So, hi, my name is John Smith, and I saw your ad in a local magazine today. Can I ask you a quick question? I'm writing a book on how to take care of your spine to prevent arthritis, and my publisher just called me. They said I should have a section in the back called Resources I Recommend. My publisher wants the book to be very practical, and they would like me to find an ergonomic chair company today. Would you be interested in having a full-page ad in the Trusted Resources section? If not, that's fine, but I have to find a company that specializes in ergonomic chairs today. You know how publishers are with deadlines, right? How is that script? It's very easy. It's a soft sell, but publishers do have deadlines. This is a very easy way to see who's serious about advertising and who's not, and they know you're going to just move on to someone else. Again, this script is very, very powerful, easily worth the entire price of the training course itself. And from the examples that I gave you beforehand today, you can go as far and wide as you want with this, have as many ads and sponsorships as you want. I would say my average client will probably have 2 to 3. You don't want to have 50 different advertisers in the book because it just doesn't look right. But in your trusted resources section, if you have a couple in there or 5, 10, that's not too many. And that certainly can recoup a lot of your investment on the front end and just give you a lot to play with. Here is a more general version, so you can certainly apply this to whatever niche you are servicing or your book. And you can stop this tutorial and then just copy that. And going back to the example, that's just great money for getting it out there and before you actually publish the book. So use this script to your advantage. Use this process. This is something that very few authors actually think of, but it can be very lucrative when you launch your own best-selling book. And by the way, this is not the only sponsor level you can have either. I know some people that will have others write chapters in their book. In fact, I know one gentleman who every year publishes a book on a specific topic where authors, they can contribute to this book. I think they spend around something like $2,000 to contribute. He has 20 or so different authors submit their stories to this book. Yes, they all paid to be in it. He makes money, but they get the benefit and prestige of being in a best-selling book. So you can expand your horizons with this strategy. I just gave you one in particular, but use it to your advantage. There's plenty of opportunity to make money and help a lot of people using this method.